I'm going to tell you a story about a legend.
I mean, I really wasn't asking, but okay.
Now, this wasn't just any legend. It was a 350 legend.
What kind of terrible name is that?
What do you mean?
I mean, that name is just terrible. Maybe not the worst I've ever heard, but why don't you just let me take it over from here? The 350 Legend is somewhat of a strange little cartridge, so we're going to be going over why you might want one and why you might not. There's 3 reasons that come to my mind as to why you might want a 350 Legend. Alright, knock it off, E-Man. The 350 Legend is a bit of a powerhouse, and I don't really mean a powerhouse compared to most other rifle cartridges, but compared to AR-15 cartridges that use a standard 223 bolt, it's just about at the top of the list. On the left, we got the 223, in the middle we got the 300 Blackout, and on the right we got the 350 Legend. All 3 of these cartridges are using the exact same bolt, so let's see which one puts out the most power on this steel plate. This is going to be the steel plate that I was talking about, and as you can see, it's gong-shaped. It's made out of AR-500 3/8 inch thick steel, so I'm going to aim down here for all of the cartridges and see which one swings it the best. And don't worry, I switched out the bolts to grade 8 bolts, so we shouldn't have the same issue as last time. All 3 of the rifles are using a 16-inch barrel to make sure that the testing is as fair as possible. Well, the velocity of that 223 right there definitely put a new crater on the steel, but at least from where I was sitting, it looked like the 350 Legend definitely swung it the most. But the thing is, the 350 Legend was designed more as a hunting cartridge. So let's see what these cartridges do to this hog target right here. I'm going to be aiming at the bottom of this plate to make sure that all 3 cartridges swing it as best as possible. Once again, from where I was sitting, it looked like the 350 Legend did the best on that plate as well, but let's go ahead and check it out in slow-mo. Okay, after reviewing the videos side by side, it's pretty obvious that the 350 Legend is producing the most kinetic energy out of these 3 cartridges, but if you're looking for the most powerful straight wall cartridge out of the AR platform, make no mistake about it, the 350 Legend is definitely not it. Speaking of straight wall cartridges though, let's just say that you live in a state that restricts you to only using straight wall cartridges in hunting situations. Well, currently there really aren't that many options on the market, especially if you're allowed to use an AR, and this is where the 350 Legend really starts to make sense. Compared to other straight wall cartridges that are currently chambered in the AR platform, the 350 Legend pretty much has 2 things going for it, and that's its capacity and its limited recoil. In this same magazine profile right here, I was able to fit 10 350 Legend cartridges in it, but only 4 450 Bushmasters and 450 Beowulfs. That is quite the difference right there. Let me tell you something, you would be very hard pressed to find another straight wall cartridge that has the same capacity as the 350 Legend while also putting out a decent amount of kinetic energy and having very limited recoil. If you want to learn more about how the 350 Legend stacks up compared to the other straight wall cartridges pictured, I would definitely recommend reading my article on Midway USA. Speaking of Midway USA though, I would really like to thank them for sponsoring my channel. I have been shopping at Midway USA for almost a decade now because they've been such a great company over the years in my experience, and if you're in the market for just about anything hunting, outdoors, or farm related, I would definitely recommend checking them out. Okay, what I meant to say is that the 350 Legend technically has 3 things going for it if you consider how cost effective it is compared to these other straight wall cartridges. Now, when the 350 Legend was introduced, it was introduced with a 145 grain FMJ load offering that was about $11 for a box of 20. Nice. Well, that's a pretty good price right there, especially for a centerfire rifle cartridge, but with everything that went on over the past few years, I'll let you infer what that is, but the price has gone up to about $16 a box. Wait, what? I know, it's not ideal that the price went up on this ammo, but the price went up on just about everything, so considering how niche of a cartridge this is, it's still a pretty good deal. I mean, when we take a look at the 300 Blackout, which is a much more mainstream option, a lot of the load offerings on the market right now are just about that price, if not a little bit higher. I'm pretty positive that this pricing is exactly what attracted most people to this cartridge in the first place, myself included, especially when you consider that it was just about the only cartridge you could find on the shelves there for a little while. The 350 Legend definitely has quite a few things going for it, but don't get sold on the cartridge just yet. Let's take a look at some of the negatives. You see, the thing about the AR-15 platform is that it wasn't really designed around straight-walled cartridges, so this thing jams. I mean, ultimately that's what I'm getting to, is that this thing jams. Now, I'm not necessarily saying that the 350 Legend is going to jam in a bolt-action rifle, because I do not have any experience with bolt-action rifles in the 350 Legend. But if I'm buying a cartridge specifically for the AR platform, it better be pretty reliable, and the 350 Legend is just not it. Just about every single time I've taken the rifle that you see behind me out to the range, I've experienced at least one failure. What usually happens is that the round will stovepipe before it fully enters the chamber, which either tears up the brass or actually pushes the bullet back into the case. Neither of which are ideal. After watching a bunch of different videos to try and figure out exactly what my issue was, I found out that a lot of people were having issues with the feed lips. So I decided to cut them back a little, and what do you know, it started working a lot better. Not 100%, but definitely a lot better than it was. The main issue that I have with this, though, is that I should not have to modify magazines for this common of a cartridge, especially when the magazine says that it's specifically for the 350 Legend. I'm not saying that every single AR chambered in the 350 Legend is going to be unreliable, but just keep in mind that you may need to modify more things than you would normally need to get to near 100% reliability. Now, this next issue is really only going to be an issue if you choose to reload for this cartridge, and it's becoming less and less of an issue, but it's actually bullet selection. So in case you didn't know, the 350 Legend uses a somewhat uncommon bore size. I guess I really shouldn't say uncommon, but it's uncommon for rifle cartridges, and that's a 355 diameter bore size. That's right, it's the same diameter as the ultra common cartridge that we all know, the 9mm Luger. There seem to be quite a few loads for the 350 Legend that use 9mm specific bullets, but in my experience, if you want reliable feeding, you're going to need to step it up to rifle style bullets. The only problem with this is that there really weren't too many rifle style bullets in this bore size before the 350 Legend came out, and that's because before the 350 Legend came out, it was specifically a pistol caliber bore size. I will admit though that there's some pretty good bullets on the market, and it seems like more and more companies are manufacturing bullets of this style. But if they would have just stepped this cartridge up 3 thousandths in diameter from the get-go, they would have been at the 358 diameter bore size, which already has a lot of established bullets in it. I know that the cartridge probably would have needed to be shortened to fit in the AR platform, which would have taken away some of the velocity, and the bullets may not have been effective at these velocities, but I really wish that they would have stuck with the 358 diameter bore size. I guess that this is kind of the point of the new 360 buckhammer, but the 360 buckhammer is designed specifically for lever action rifles, and let's be honest, it's an even dumber name than the 350 Legend. The 350 Legend is a really cool little cartridge, and it has a lot of things going for it. If you can get an AR to shoot it reliably, it really starts to make a lot of sense with its high capacity and limited recoil. But in just about any other platform, it really doesn't make that much sense. If you're going to limit yourself on capacity anyways, there are plenty of other straight wall cartridges that have way more capabilities. Ultimately, it's up to you to decide whether or not you can deal with the small hassles of the 350 Legend, but I really hope that you enjoyed today's video. Thanks so much for watching, and remember, don't let ballistics drive you bananas.